So thank you, South Summit, for having us today at the beautiful Hilton Hotel in the heart of Newcastle City Centre.
Yep.
And we're with Tilly today.
Hello.
So thanks for being here today, Tilly. So just to remind everyone, can you tell everyone a bit about yourself?
Yeah. So when I was born, I was completely fine, happy, healthy baby. And then when I was 15 months old, I fell really, really ill with an awful disease. It's called meningococcal septicemia strain B. And I was basically told that I was going to die. End of. It even got to the point where my parents were being told to come in to see me before they shut my body down for the machine to keep me stable, because the doctors actually couldn't be certain whether my eyes would ever open again after that point. So it really didn't seem like it was going to be too great for me at all. Like, I was told that I was given 0% chance of survival, and there'd basically been no chance for me. But obviously I'm here today, so I must have survived and pulled through somehow. And it was after 1 week in intensive care, 3 weeks in recovery, a secondary infection, and 10 blood transfusions that somehow I managed to pull through. I survived, and I'm here today. But they did have to amputate my hands, though, in order to keep me alive. And so ever since I lost my hands, I really wanted to get into prosthetics just to see kind of what was about and what was available at the time. But it was then I realized there really wasn't an awful lot available at all. And from the things that were available, they weren't really that great functionality wise. You know, they moved really slow. They only opened and closed. They didn't have any of the grip modes. And they actually couldn't even open wide enough to hold a cup. So when you look at a medical device like that, it seemed really, really important to me that they actually be able to help you. But also, not only did the hands move really slowly and weren't very helpful at all, but they also looked kind of uncanny as well. They were made to look really realistic, but when you have a really realistic design paired with a really strange kind of robotic, slowly moving technology, it kind of just was quite strange for people out and about, I think. And I remember on so many occasions just being sat in a restaurant or something and every single person's eyes being on me. And I think it was around the age of 7 where I realized, you know what, this needs to change. And I decided to dedicate a large portion of my life, and I still am today, to trying to develop prosthetics to not only work best and give my feedback to make them work better and be more helpful for myself and other people who need them, but also make you feel good as well. Like, those hands didn't make me do, but these feel like they're kind of a part of me and my body now, which is really cool and something that I never would have been able to say about anything else I've tried before.
How old were you when you first got your bionic arms, and what difference did it make to you?
So my first ever prosthetic arms ever in my lifetime I got when I was 2 years old, and they were from the NHS. But the time I got these bionic arms, I think it was 2018, January time. They were basically gifted to me by 20th Century Fox, and they were designed after the movie Elite Battle Angel, which was really, really cool. I got to go to the premiere and everything. Definitely one of the highlights of my life. But I've been working with Open Bionics for about 5 years now, and I just remember the first time I put on that technology, it wasn't so much mine at the time. It was definitely more of a prototype, because I was kind of the guinea pig in developing the technology for myself to use and other people. So it wasn't really up to the standard that it is now. But I just remember as soon as I put it on, it felt like instant, I don't know, like empowerment, instant confidence. And I can't really explain the good vibes. It was just like, yeah, we're going in the right direction here. I think the thing is that I'd finally was speaking to a company who had the exact same vision as myself and my mom at the time. Like, we were trying to get away from the whole realistic thing, and we were actually trying to make them really cool for kids and for adults. But I feel like it gets a lot more excitement now, especially from kids, and I feel like that's the best thing about it. So it was really just really eye-opening for me as like a 10-year-old when I was first going into this, just to think, wow, hang on, my dreams could actually quite possibly become a reality here and sometime soon.
Fantastic. And have you faced any hurdles with your disability? And if so, how have you overcome them?
I've 100% faced the difficulties in my life. I don't think any life is smooth sailing. You always have your ups and downs. And I feel like a big part in my life was obviously growing up and not having any hands. For me, I feel like I was able to adapt really well, because I lost my hands when I was so young that I don't actually remember my life any differently, you know? Like, this is just who I am. I've never had hands to my knowledge, but in my memories, I have one memory, I think, when I had hands, but it's completely irrelevant. It was like me and a tomato for the first time. But yeah, that's kind of the only memory I ever had. So I've never known myself be any different. And because of that, I feel like I was able to accept having such a difference quite a bit better than the average person. I know when I was growing up, I always used to think about the people who had hands their whole life and then all of a sudden them just be taken from them just like that. I mean, it can literally happen overnight, especially when it comes to meningitis. It acts extremely fast. So yeah, I feel like I was able to adapt really, really well, but I still wanted to make sure there was something out there, you know what I mean? Because that was also some things I struggled with when I grew up. Like, I was never able to multitask. That was always a big issue for me. Obviously, missing both the hands, I do everything with my two arms together all the time, but that isn't always great and convenient, if we say it, put it that way. But now I'm able to like pull a suitcase, drink a cup of coffee, read a book, and eat some sweets at the same time. Hand over my ticket and get like 3D glasses back, and basically just do everything that I would have already been doing, but twice as quick because I've got double the hands to use now, which is really cool. I feel like the biggest point in my life where I was really at an all-time low because of my disability was when I had the big operation on my leg, and that left me unable to walk, and I wasn't going to school for 6 months. So obviously that's a massive change, and all I can remember in that moment was trying to focus on the positive. We all hear that kind of saying that you should always look for the light at the end of the tunnel, and I definitely did that an awful lot. Like, I would always imagine myself kind of doing cartwheels and things afterwards that I wouldn't, and like running faster because my legs would be the same length and it would be a lot easier for me. But also in that time, I feel like it's very important to try and look for the light within the tunnel. That's what I always used to tell myself. Like, even if it's just a flicker of a candle or anything like that, it's trying to find at least like 3 things. That's what I challenge myself to do, find 3 positive things in each moment. And I feel like in the particularly difficult moments, that's actually really helpful, and it's been incredibly helpful for me.
Brilliant. So what advice would you give to other amputees who use bionic limbs?
I feel like my first piece of advice to people who are wearing bionic limbs, whether it's these ones or different ones, I feel like number one is that patience is key. And people don't like to hear that. People just want to be doing everything straight away, because I too was the same. But practice is literally key. Like, you need to practice with them, you need to be patient with it, because you're not just going to be able to pick it up overnight. I mean, sometimes it can be, I mean, it depends on the person, but people can kind of get the basics of it, understand how to move the hands and use the different grip modes and things pretty much like relatively soon. For me, it was about 5-10 minutes. I know for others it's been 5 minutes. For others, they've required training, which is absolutely fine, but the basics of it is made to be really quite simple. But 5 years down the line, I'm still finding things today that I can like hold a makeup brush in a different way, which is better, and it angles to my face better. And it's like little things like that, which you don't really think about when you're going for the prosthetics like in the beginning. But as you start to use them every day, you do just kind of unlock new grip modes and new ideas of what could be easier for you to do certain things. And as well, we've got like videos which showcase how to do certain things on the Open Bionics YouTube channel. But a lot of the time, what I say a lot is just that it's kind of a journey for yourself, and you figure out things. A way that I might do it might not be the same way that somebody else finds the easiest way to do it. So really it is just practice, experimenting. I think the best way to do that is just to wear them every day and see what's easy, what's not so easy, and also report back to the company as well, so they can make some kind of upgrades to the arm, which will make it better for everyone in the long run.
And so when did you start learning the piano?
I started learning the piano, I think the first song I learned was like Beauty and the Beast, Taylor's Oldest Time, when I was, I think, 7 or 8 years old. But it basically all kind of stemmed from the fact that when I survived, my parents were kind of sat down by the doctors and they were telling them all these things that I wouldn't be able to do in the future. And on that list was I'd never be able to really walk, I'd never be able to run, I'd never be able to play the piano was on that list. And my mom is amazing. And she was just like, I appreciate this is your job and everything, but please do not tell me what my child will not be able to do. Like, you don't get to decide that. You don't get to make those decisions. So basically, my mom and my dad went on eBay, I think, and they found this really scratched up, like, old piano, but it still worked. And they were like, we're just going to plop it in the corner somewhere, just in case she wants to learn. We're not going to force her into anything, but if she wants to learn the piano or just play around with it a little bit, we're not going to stop her from doing that, and we're still going to give her that opportunity. So we still got that piano in our kitchen to this day. And when I was 7 years old, I saw the little Disney musical notebook, and I decided to learn it just in my free time. My mum recorded it, proud mum moment, like she always has with me. And she basically put it out on Facebook, where a piano teacher with only one leg, he's called Michael Mulroy, he was really impressed, and he just wanted to get in touch and wanted to be my piano teacher. So I did lessons with him for a little bit when I was like, I think 7 to 8 years old maybe. I kind of stopped that just because things got quite busy. But I think it was during like the 2020 lockdown that I kind of rekindled that passion that I had, and it's still a lot of fun. I mean, I'm in no way, shape or form a prodigy, but Michael Mulroy was able to make me these really cool prosthetics which allow me to play chords and everything like that, and it is just a lot of fun for me. And I feel like that's always a really great story because it's something that I was told I would never be able to do when I was little. So I feel like that one is always one that keeps myself going as well. When somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm like, well, I've done things that people don't expect me to be able to do in the past, and it's a story that keeps me propelling forward, I think.
So when did you first start getting into makeup and creating YouTube tutorials?
Now, this is actually a really funny story, although I didn't think it very funny at the time. I feel like it was a massive coincidence, but basically, I went to school one day. It was actually Christmas jumper day. That's irrelevant, but it's fun, right? But I didn't get to have a Christmas dinner that day because I actually tripped and fell on the stairs. Now, since I have problems with my left leg, I decided to break my fall with my elbow. And so I used my right elbow to kind of stop my face from whacking the floor. And I went to my next lesson thinking everything would be fine, like wasn't crying or anything. I was like, oh, whatever, that's embarrassing. But it was then in my next lesson, which was music, I realized I couldn't actually bend or straighten my arm. So I realized, okay, this might be a bit more serious than I once thought. So then I went to welfare, and the teacher down at welfare got my mum in. We went to the doctors, and turned out I'd fractured my right elbow, and this was over Christmas. Christmas jumper day was relevant because I did a massive cast from my shoulder right the way to the tip of my arm, and I had this over Christmas and on Christmas Day as well. I think I was like 13 this Christmas, so I was starting to get into makeup for the first time, and I had little bits and pieces, little makeup products that I put on my Christmas list. Then when it all arrived, I remember I was just itching to play around with it and just see what I could do. But doing that with only one arm, my least dominant arm as well, because the other one's in a cast, was proving quite the challenge. I always say, like, you think breaking your good hand and having to write with your bad hand is bad enough, but having only one arm is a hell of a lot worse. Like, it was pretty much impossible at the time. So I had the idea, okay, why not try and do it with only one bionic arm? So that was actually the first time I even tried to pick up a brush or do anything makeup wise with my bionic arm. And I only had the one at the time, so it was a little more challenging than it is today. But it was definitely not easy at first. I got foundation everywhere. It was at the cost of my sister's white curtains and duvet because foundation was just on everything that needed to be protected, and it was just messy. It was terrible, and including myself, like, I'm not going to say it was a great look either, but eventually I was able to completely recreate a full makeup look using only one bionic arm, and I put it out on social media just because that's what I like to do. And it got an incredible response. A lot of newspapers were really excited by it, and I was really excited by it too because I just done my own makeup using my bionic arm. And then that was basically the start of that. I got my cast off later on, So it's now much easier to do my makeup now. I've actually got two hands. But yeah, I got into it. It was quite a strange way and not one I really enjoyed at the time. But now I'm kind of glad that it happened, looking back on it, because I don't even know if I would be doing makeup tutorials at all today had that not happened, because why would I have the incentive to like try with my bionic arm, you know? So I'm actually really glad it happened.
You've been involved in some incredible things. Would you say there has been a specific highlight?
Oh, that's a really tough one. I feel like one moment that definitely stands out is meeting the Dalai Lama. I mean, I'm so grateful for everything I've been able to do. It's crazy even to this day. I mean, I've got a scrapbook full of it all because I just don't want to lose any of the memories. I want everything documented because it's just totally surreal that I've gotten to do all the things I've gotten to do. But like I say, I feel like something that does stand out is meeting His Holiness, and that was in Amsterdam. I love Amsterdam with my whole heart. I've been 3 times now for like different events, and he was incredible. Like as soon as I got that email, I was just like, right, read it again, like because I was just like, wait, the Dalai Lama? Are you serious? But that was what it was, and I was able to go up on stage with the Dalai Lama. I sat next to him. He gave me a little high five type thing when he was walking down the aisle, so that was really cool. And not everyone can say that they've high fived the Dalai Lama, you know? So that was an incredible experience and one I'll never forget.
Fabulous. So, what do you think the future of bionics is?
Oh, don't get me started on the future. I'm so excited. I think it's going to be crazy. And I'm just so happy to be at the forefront of it all. When I started working with Open Bionics, I rocked up with these massive vision boards. I think I had two for like different designs of bionic arms. And I also had all these ideas of what I wanted to see, kind of like upgrades in the arms. So on that list were things like more lights, projectors. I wanted a Bluetooth speaker. I really want like a personal assistant or something. That would be really cool, like Iron Man's Jarvis or like Siri or anything like that in your hand. I feel like who's going to say no to that? That's pretty sick in my opinion anyway. So I've got all these crazy ideas that I think Open Bionics actually have to tell me like calm down a bit, because that is definitely going to be in the future, but not quite now. But I feel like all those inventions, I mean, hopefully will come to life soon. And I think sooner than we're all actually expecting. We've seen technological advancements come on so much recently, and I feel like it's not stopping anytime soon. It's really going to skyrocket. And I know that actually scares a lot of people because they think, oh my gosh, technology is going to take over, the robots are taking over and everything. But actually, I think it's going to be great because I feel like what Open Bionics doing is especially are they're focusing on like bionic limbs. And at the end of the day, we're still talking about a medical device. Like these are really changing the lives of people, myself included. So I feel like it's going to be truly incredible. There's nothing to worry about. Maybe not yet, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait personally.
So, do you consider yourself a bionic girl, and do you like that title?
It's quite a cool title. I have seen it up and about, and in Spain it's obviously La Chica Bionica, which is really cool. I love that title. I mean, I've got nothing bad to say about it. I think it sounds really cool. I think it sounds like superheroine kind of name. So yeah, no complaints here. I'll happily be the Bionic girl. It's a lot of fun.
Brilliant. So, how different are your current arms to those that you've used for the first time? And what are the biggest improvements that you have seen or experienced throughout the time on the arm's design and capabilities?
I mean, the prosthetic evolution in my experience has been absolutely insane. I started when I was 2 years old, and the first hand I ever got was practically a claw. It was basically a tube to put my arm in, and then it had like kind of 3 prongs sticking out the top, and it was tied together by elastic bands. And there wasn't, and I'm not even sure if you can call it prosthetic or bionic because it didn't have any like technological things in it at all. It was all very manual. So basically how it worked is they would have the elastic band and then strings would attach from like over my upper body, and the way I would move kind of my shoulders and my upper body would pull on the string, which would then pull on the elastic band and make one finger go side to side like a kind of pinch movement. And I don't remember this all too much at all. I mean, I've got the prosthetic at home, that's why I'm able to describe it, but I was only 2 at the time. And from what I hear from my mom, I just remember that I really didn't like it. I don't remember myself ever wearing it, and that's because I didn't really wear it. Like, I kind of got it, I thought of it more of a weapon than a hand. I didn't associate it with a prosthetic or a replacement of a limb at all, and I feel like that was the biggest issue. So I just didn't really know what my parents were trying to achieve by giving me this arm, because I didn't even think it was a hand. So it kind of got tucked away, and I didn't look at it again. And when you think about that being my first prosthetic hand to today, it's come on a crazy amount. I mean, these are totally 3D printed. They've got all the technological wiring, so I am actually able to control them with just my muscles, which is really cool. And they're perfectly sensitive to me. They also, which I think is quite interesting, they're not looking like real hands either. And at the beginning, I didn't like that hand because I couldn't really associate it with a hand. But that may have been because it had like 3 fingers and tied together by elastic bands. But throughout the years, I got like the really realistic designs, and I kind of decided and realized that that wasn't for me either, and that they still need to like work like a hand, but they can actually look quite cool. Like, they don't have to look like everybody else. I feel like I got to the point where I realized I was never trying to hide my difference. I was never ashamed of it or anything. So why not just go the complete opposite way? And I feel like that's exactly what we've done, and they're perfect in my eyes.
So if you could improve something in your current arms, what would it be? So would they be lighter, better handling control, more dexterity, sensory feedback? What do you think?
Well, I think all of them would be great. But I think the upgrades, the practical upgrades, because, you know, I can talk about crazy upgrades for days. The practical upgrades, the one I would really like to see is an automatic wrist. So there is a wrist in this hand, but you have to manually push it around like that. And that's the best wrist I've ever had. A lot of my hands didn't have wrists at all. And you actually don't know how much you use your wrists in day-to-day life until they're gone. I know, because I challenged like my mom to do that one time, like try and go a whole day without moving your wrists, and she did not cope well with the challenge. Let's just say that. So these are actually the best wrists I've ever had, but if they could be automatic so that you don't have to push them around like this, and you can just turn it, like I do still have my wrist here, like that, that would be so helpful when it comes to like writing, drawing, eating, doing my makeup. Literally, you use your wrists all the time. So I feel like that's number one practical upgrade, which I'd love to see. Also, some type of sensory feedback, like you said. I feel like that would be incredible, because at the minute, you're just judging the grip you have on something visually, like by your eyes. So it can look like I've got a good grip on something, but sometimes I'll lift up, and if the surface is wet or anything like that, it can slip. So some kind of sensory feedback would be incredible, so that you know that you're definitely not going to drop something. They're quite reliable, especially now they've got the freeze feature, where it'll freeze your fingers in place. But I feel like that would just be extra and give them a lot more reliability and just stability, safety in myself, that I'm not going to drop a glass and it smash on the floor, which would be helpful.
So if you had the chance of having enhanced bionic arms, what superpower would you like to have? Being super strong or something like that?
Perfect. Now we're talking about crazy upgrades. Well, yeah, super strong. That would be sick. I do want to have all the projectors and everything. It'd be pretty cool to like blast things out of your hand, but that might just be me. I don't know. I just think it should be totally up to you. Like, I want all these crazy things in the arm. I think a key thing to remember though is that every kind of upgrade you put in the hand is going to add to the weight of them. So I don't know if I'm going to be carrying that around all day like a projector and everything. But I would love to be able to project things. I'd love to be able to have super strength, lift a car, why not? Yeah, crush things, that'd be quite cool, as long as I don't crush everyone's hand when I go to shake it. But yeah, there's loads of crazy things, like a projector, like blasting music. I don't know if you would really count that as a superpower, but that's something I would like to see. But super strength would be pretty cool as well. Maybe like some really flexible or something, where it just like lets you do cartwheels and that could be quite cool.
So thank you very much, Tilly, for that amazing interview, and we're going to go back to the South Summit.